I'll call the September 3rd meeting of the Ludington City Planning Commission to order. Karen, can we please have a roll call?
Melissa Boggs, Adam Johnson, Jordan Miller,
Present.
Patrick O'Hare,
Present.
Melissa Reed,
Present.
John Chisano,
Present.
Jeff White.
Here.
Just a quick housekeeping, there are chairs in the front. Please come up to the front if you need a seat. There are chairs. Thank you.
You have the agenda before you this evening. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Is there any question, changes? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. So we're going to open the floor for public comments, but I first want to explain in terms of, since we have a lot of individuals here this evening that are not typically probably at a city planning commission meeting, there are two places on the agenda for public comment. The first one will be in just a few seconds. We'll open the floor for general public comment. If you're here, you want to speak to the Planning Commission and so forth, you can do so in terms of topics that would be relevant to the Planning Commission. The second public comment period is during the public hearing. The public hearing this evening is very specific. It is regarding a special land use request, but it's an amendment to a previous special land use. And so that is a very narrow action item that is before the Planning Commission this evening. I know there's been a lot of things in the press regarding pillars, setbacks, and so forth. That is not a matter that is being taken up by the Planning Commission this evening. And so when we in fact talk in the public hearing, we are going to be talking specifically about the fact that the overhang was previously approved. It was approved to be placed at a certain place on the side of the building. It was constructed in a different location further south, And the owner has submitted an amendment to that special land use, recognizing where the placement is now on that building. The things having to do with the placement of the pillars and those setbacks are under an easement or license agreement between the city of Ludington that is a matter of the city council. This planning commission does not deal with licensing agreements for public property, which is what that entails. And so I can't tell you not to talk about it because these are public comment periods and so forth. But I want to make it clear up front that the Planning Commission is only taking up the very specific thing in terms of an amendment to the existing special land use that was approved in November of 2021 and has now been amended, is being requested an amendment to that because it is actually placed on the side of the building in a different location than what was originally approved. So again, at this time, I'm going to open the floor for public comments and communications. If anyone in the public would like to speak, we ask that you please go up to the lectern and speak directly into the microphone, as I am trying to do right now, so that people can hear you clearly. Please start by stating your name and your address, and please direct all comments to the chair. We typically, if you attend planning commission meetings, we have not used a clock because we normally don't have this many people in attendance, and it's not typically a problem. But tonight, we will be using the clock. We'll be setting it to 3 minutes. You certainly don't have to take that long. If I have any problems with this, I will be calling on the clock's owner, which is the city manager. And that is actually a joke because it's the clock. It's not the city manager's clock. But anyways, are there anyone want to speak in terms of public comment? If you can please come up to the lectern and start by stating your name and address.
Dave Hankwitz, address 609 South Washington, Hankwitz Heating. I just want to thank all of you for being here, caring
Would you
about our
please speak
community.
into the microphone?
And I also like to thank our mayor for the calls and that. And the issue that addressing is, I remember when I built my car wash in North Washington, I had to go through the blueprints and the mechanical inspector, which is my dad, who was on me, and also I'm John Healy. I just feel with Ludington and us competing against out there with the big boys, the multimillionaires and stuff like that, I remember when we had House of Flavors, there's a lot of contentions on that with the addition of that, the zoning, signs and everything like that. I feel we just have to try to come together and work together as a county. And Andy, I don't do his work. We graduated from school together, just a little insight on it. He never went to sports or done anything. He just worked. He had 3 jobs. He worked at Orgies, worked at State Park and everything. And when he went to college, nobody paid his way. He's still working. I'm looking at this like I can't see how he's going to ever get money back out of it, especially when I heard there's $100,000 probably in taxes, which comes to about $2,000 a week on it. So I just thank for everybody trying to work this out, see what we can do. The building's going to be here just like the House of Flavors and the Stearns. You know, it's going to be something that, but I understand that we all have to work together. And like I say, I just thank you and hope that we can come up with something that we can all compromise on. Thank you.
Thank you. Look, I've already messed up the clock. Does anybody else wish to speak this evening? Pardon?
Chuck Savansky, 201 and a half 4th Street, Ludington, Michigan. As regard of what we're down here today for, excuse me, I see as someone's right, someone's wrong. We teach our kids not to lie, and here we are. Somebody is lying. City or the contractor. Let's get up to it. Let's take it as it is. Come forward. Say what you have to say. If you're right or wrong. We spent a lot of time on this subject. We'll keep going back and forth. Let's get this matter done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make general public comments?
Wayne Brown, Farm Bureau Insurance, 609 East Ludington Avenue. I'd like to just make a few comments. I was very lucky to sit on the DDA for many years, work with Heather, and I know at that time we were doing facade updates, loans, grants, to update and make our downtown prettier. There's no doubt, it has worked on James Street and Ludington Avenue. We're trying to make Ludington as a destination place, harder and harder every day, and we're certainly getting the accolades for that. But I really feel we need to get this thing settled because it just is silly. It's a beautiful facility. Let's face it, the Michael's old building was hit with an ugly stick. I mean, we all have to admit to that. We have a beautiful facility there now. If you've drove around town, if you go in the north Washington Avenue and you look south, there is barriers close. As my father used to say on the farm, there's a few sachets around power poles and light poles. I just think something can be worked out. It's costing the city money, Dr. Reamer money, the contractor money, the employees. Let's get this together and kumbaya and get it settled. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Not seeing anyone. I will close public comment and move back to the agenda in terms of the approval of minutes. Before you, Planning Commissioners, you have the minutes of the July 2nd, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Motion having been made to approve and seconded, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now we will move into the public hearing as it relates specifically to the matter before us this evening, which is the special land use request, which is an amendment to the previous special land use for the placement of the overhang easement. The public hearing, again, regarding the amendment, we're not, as I already stipulated, we're not talking about placement of pillars, setbacks from the road or curbs. We're strictly addressing the amendment as it relates to the previous special land use that was approved by the body on the 3rd of November 2021. The way the public hearings occur is we will be opening it for public comment, and then we'll close the public hearing, and then the Planning Commission will deliberate amongst itself and will make a determination in terms of the approval or not of the amendment as it's presented. In keeping with our city policy and our Planning Commission policies, this meeting was noticed appropriately from a public hearing perspective in the city's social media as well as the newspaper, as indicated also by the fact in terms of how many people are here this evening. I do want to note that there was a special land use committee meeting that took place earlier this month, and the special land use committee, as it was making its findings and so forth, specifically requested that the developer resubmit a survey that would show the placement, the specific placement, as opposed to just showing a broader rectangle. And they complied with that request, and that was in the packet. And so that is the version that we will be taking up this evening. But I do want to make note that in the packet, and again, this adds to a certain level of confusion, there was a letter from the applicant's attorney, and in that letter, there was a paragraph on the last page that spoke to the curb and site plan. That is not something that's before the special land use. It's believed on the city's part that that language was in a prior document that had been provided to the city and just did not get deleted from this version. And so as the special land use committee took this matter up, and as we're doing the public hearing this evening, we are not addressing that paragraph at all, which we do not think is pertinent to the special land use request. So at this time, I'm going to start by asking Sean Reed, the building inspector, to give his staff report to the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Chairman. Planning Commissioners, as you have before you, the chairman
O'Hare has covered a lot of that, about what you're going to cover. I would just like to point out that, as you can see, it's on the whiteboard as well, that the new license agreement that they have submitted to us does show footings on there, which would be below grade footings, and it also shows the exact placement of the current overhang where it is now. It was brought up at the Special Land Use Committee from Commissioner O'Hare, actually, that the footings appear to be outside of what was what they had proposed earlier of the license agreement. And with advice from our attorney, we were made aware that we need to add the footings onto that license agreement. So, and several emails back and forth with the developer and their team, they submitted this document, which you see on your left on the screen on the whiteboard. I would also like to mention that as part of my staff report, Commissioner O'Hare kind of already referenced it, but the application from the Reamer team does show in number 9 in regard to the answers to the special land use requirements and standards. The answer to that is on the next page, and the response is understood, the applicant will comply with this request. Roman numeral number 3, which is right below that, is not an answer to number 9. Just to clarify that for you. I believe that's it for me. Does anybody have any questions for me from the Planning Commission?
I have a question. You mentioned that the footings are now on the survey, but any action tonight is not approving those footings being placed where they are. Is that correct?
That is correct. It is our understanding that those footings are actually encroaching more to the west than what was the original easement agreement, and that's going to require city council approval.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from any of the Planning Commission members? Thank you, Mr. Reed. So I will open the floor in terms of the public hearing. I'd ask if there's anyone here this evening that is representing the developer that would like to speak first. Is there? Not seeing any. Do you have any comments or anything that you want to expand upon? Again, the footings were only dealing with the special land use.
No, I know, but,
Okay. Can you please state your name
yeah.
and speak directly into the mic? Thank you.
Dan Brown, Trident Construction.
Bring it up a little bit if you don't mind. I'm sorry, but
Oh, no problem. These are on my back. As far as the foundations you were asking about, I know they're not approved, but any change we're gonna make to whatever we end up doing, the foundations and piers are pretty much gonna stay there. They're big enough to support whatever changes are made to those columns. So rather than dig the street up to remove the footings that are underneath, we're probably gonna just leave those there if we can. So I know you're concerned about the road clearance with the columns and but the stuff down below the frost level, we'll try to stay there and just add to it if that ends up being moved backwards, so.
Thank you.
can you just wait 1 second? I just want to make sure that in planning commissions in the past for public hearings, we allow the planning commissioners, this is the only time where we do an exchange with the audience members. If you have any specific questions for the developer. Any other questions before?
Yeah, I have one.
Please speak into the mic.
Sorry. Sorry.
Well, we're being recorded. It's for all of those people out there who are listening, John, not me.
When several of us from the city, city manager, the mayor, myself, Sean Reed, Andy Lahr, head of DPW, met with the architect, met with folks from Trident, to talk about the columns. One of the things that the architect said was that he had been suspect of the survey that was being used from the beginning. And my question to him was, then why did you continue to use it? And that's my question to you. The survey that we have here is still based on a survey that the architect said he had issues with. So how do we know what we have here is correct?
So, a few of us came into this later. Obviously, I'm not the project manager on the job that started this. I think you guys met with Brian. As far as there's any problem with the survey, it's only the curb location. So from the property line to where the building sits is fine. Because this is basically a boundary survey, it's not a site survey.
So why didn't you do a site survey? Why did you just use a boundary survey?
Well, this is the problem, is when we requested a survey, this is what we got.
Well, it was my understanding, or what I was told, was this was a survey that was given to the architect and to Trident from the previous owner. What I'm asking is, you got a multi-million-dollar project. Why didn't you commission the $1,500, $2,000 to do your own survey to make sure that it was done right?
Well, that's what this was for the easement. We asked West Shore for a survey to get this easement established, and this survey is what they provided us.
Who's they?
West Shore, the surveyor of record on the original one and this one, so.
Okay. So then back to my original question. If you're suspect of it, why did you continue to use it?
Well, as far as the boundary goes, the boundary is fine for the easement portion. It's just the curb location that's suspect.
Well,
That's where the 1'10" dimension that everybody is fighting over came from, this, because of the curb distance from the property line.
an architect is not going to make a comment that they were suspect of the survey from the beginning based on where the curb is. That tells me that they're suspect of the whole survey to begin with. And that begs the question, the property line to the north is 66.53 inches. The property line to the south is 66.73 inches.
Correct.
What was deeded on that document, and again, it's a deed survey, to me, not a construction survey. What was deeded was 68 feet. You're supposed to build to the property line, but you built 68 feet. Why?
That, there's actually an email to Mitch, the former city manager, that was brought up, and he says, our record shows 68 feet. So we brought it up to the city,
You brought it up to the city, and he said our parcel shows 68 feet,
And that's
but
what
he was
you're talking
talking
about.
about the south corner.
he was talking about the entire site.
I don't think so.
Well,
I
I
do
think,
have- I
I
do
think
have the
this
email.
conversation's gone well beyond the planning commission, so I'd ask to table it, please. So, thank you.
Yeah. You all set?
Yes, thank you. So moving to general public comment, again, as previously described, we will keep the comments to 3 minutes. Is there anybody from the general public that would like to speak specifically to the amendment to the special land use?
Annette Quillen, 6th Ward. I had a whole list of things, but I'll stick to my plan here. I was looking from the south side of Andy's, and I noticed the parking spaces. In front of the Olmsted building, it was 6 foot 10 inches wide. Then I was looking north, Andy's has 2 places there. They were 5 feet 7 inches wide. That is 1 foot 3 inches shorter than the regular width of a parking space. So obviously the curb has been extended. And were you planning on putting golf carts there or something? I don't know, it's not marked. But I walk all over town, but I often watched lands. And the Andes building is 1 foot over the alley. And when I used to walk, I could see through the Olmsted building that the whole street lined up, but this doesn't line up, and I don't know what you want to do with that information. I just was doing this information. Thanks.
Thank you. Is anyone else? No one else? You mean I really didn't need the timer? Does anybody else want to speak? I'll ask one last time. Anyone else? Okay, I will close the public hearing regarding the special land use for 129 West Ludington Avenue and ask the Commissioner White to give the report of the Special Land Use Committee.
Okay, thank you. On August 12th, we met, we being the Special Land Use Committee and Site Plan Review Committee, and that consisted of, on the Planning Commission side, Commissioner O'Hare and Commissioner Adam Johnson, who isn't here this evening. This is a procedure that we do normally with a lot of subject matters. In this case, the special land use had to do with an amendment because it came to our attention that the overhang was different. It was further to the south and it was a little larger than the original special land use approval. So in order to go forward from there, we had to create an amendment, which is what we did. And we recommended, as long as we got the drawings that was discussed, that we would take this and approve it to go to a motion to the Planning Commission for final approval, just to give everybody what happened there. The other item is site plan review. Site plan review is slightly different. It's, again, special land use approves the process, meaning, yes, you can build here. Then it goes at some point to site plan review. That consists of a lot of members. The building inspector, as an example, city officials, police, fire, making sure there's some safety and everything all there covered. So we then got into the subject matter of site plan review regarding the columns. At that point, we had some good conversation. We exchanged some ideas with Dan and others there about the columns and decided to table it to allow the city and the contractors and the folks at Andes to figure out a game plan to move forward. So that's where we are today, just to give you an idea. And I'm just trying to give it a little simpler terms about how we handle it as a planning commission. So therefore, I'd first like to address, though, getting back to the original issue that we have to vote on at the planning commission, is a special land use amendment regarding the placement of the overhang easement. The overhang was, again, I'm going to repeat things a little bit. The overhang was completed differently than the original approved plan, both in location and in size. The committee determined to recommend to the Planning Commission approval of the changes in the completed project, which they have done. So therefore, I'm going to make a following motion as it was prepared for me. Motion to approve the special land use amendment application of ASR Real Estate LLC for 121 Ludington Avenue, the property, subject to the following terms and conditions. The amended special land use conditionally approves only the north-south positioning of the second floor overhang and its overall north-south length as depicted on the West Shore License Exhibit, having a last revision date on August 18th, 2025. Number two, the amended special land use shall not be effective and no action may be taken by the applicant in reliance thereon unless and until such time as the city council has in its sole discretion approved a license agreement that permits the second floor overhang and its supporting columns and footings to encroach into the city right-of-way as depicted on the plan. If the council does not approve such a license agreement, the amended special land use shall be void and without effect. Number 3, the amended special land use does not otherwise approve any other aspect of the plan, including the location of the main building, location of the curb and gutter, or other matters depicted on the plan. Number 4, the special land use amendment approval in no way modifies any other aspect of the approved site plan for the property, and in particular does not modify the requirement imposed on the improved site plan that there be a separation distance of 1 foot 10 inches or 1.83 feet between the face of the curb and the nearest portion of the front face of each column that supports the second floor overhang. So therefore, I make a motion to approve this amendment for the special land use.
Is there a second?
Second.
I would like to offer one minor correction to that. Commissioner White stated it as 121 West Ludington Avenue. It is actually 129 West Ludington Avenue.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, please don't approve the wrong.
I'll support it as amended.
129, you heard it.
There is a motion and a second regarding this matter. I will open for other comments. Any comments from any of the planning commissioners? Wow. You do not have to comment.
I have one question. I'm just, this is a matter of curiosity. So the original site plan as approved for this overhang, this is an easement that we're talking about.
Correct.
It is actually a
not.
license. It is not an easement, it is a license.
Okay, so my question is not relevant to tonight's vote then, because if the easement is going to be changed in any way, that has to be duly recorded at the registrar's office, correct? Has anything of that nature been prepared or for us to review?
It's not, that review is not with us, it's with the city council. If you go back to 2021 and so forth, and you follow the entire history, the city attorney recommended special land use to take up the matter of whether or not there should be an overhang, basically, and that the city should generate with the owner a license agreement for the I'll say infringement, if you want to call it that or whatever, the placement on public property in terms of the sidewalk. And so it would be that license agreement that the city council is in charge of. So we never voted on the license, nor would we take up that matter because again, that's between the city council, the planning, it's not within the jurisdiction of the planning commission to do license agreements for public property.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification.
Any other comment?
So just to clarify, there has been a little use of the terms easement and license kind of in conjunction with one another tonight. It is a license, not an easement.
I do have a couple comments, if I may, Mr. Chairman. And it's specifically about the response to the requirements of for the special land use that was prepared by the attorney for ASR Real Estate LLC. And attorneys are always great with their choice of words, but on page 1, when he talks right under the introduction, he says the instant request is for a minor adjustment to the approved site plan and special land use permit to provide for the location of the overhang as depicted in the attached site plan and easement survey. I would just like to suggest that moving a overhang 13 feet to the south is not a minor adjustment. He also says, in response to the requirement under item number 7, the requirement is special land use will be a substantial improvement to property in the general facility and economic, cultural, and environmental aspect of the community as a whole. And he's got a couple sentences that's talking about it, but the last sentence really got me. It said the overhang only adds to and improves on an already well-designed project. If it was well-designed, we wouldn't be here tonight. because they clearly got it wrong at the beginning. And then, and you could talk about it as an inadvertent mistake. I look at it as, quite frankly, the sloppiness of the attorney, as well as when you take a look at, and we'll get more into this when the city council takes it up with the columns, just the whole attitude of the way things get done with no consideration for the city. And that is in response to number 9, which you brought up, Mr. Chairman, and Sean Reed brought up, that they actually have in this legal document excess language that doesn't belong in here. What's going on? It's extremely frustrating to sit here and the city be blamed for mistakes that are made by other parties. Sue DeMott mentioned one time that the pillars are where they were supposed to be in the site plan, exactly where they were under Michael's. The pillars are not. You can't have the same 4 pillars that were supporting the overhang in Michael's support an overhang that moves 13 feet to the south. They're removed. That's what we get faced with. We get blamed for holding people accountable to the rules and regulations. And for me, it's very, very frustrating. But more will come when City Council takes this up.
Any other comments? One of the things, and it's that I just want to say in terms of special land use, this amendment for the special land use could have occurred a year ago or 2 years ago when it became clear that the plan had changed from what was included in the original special land use. The fact that we're meeting tonight on this matter is not because the city delayed that. It's an issue in terms of when the developer submitted the amendment to the special land use. We can't take up special land use matters unless they are presented to the Planning Commission to take action on. And they chose to wait. And the architect stated in the special land use committee meeting that they were well aware, well over a year ago, 2 years ago, that this was an issue that needed to be addressed. And so, again, we're meeting tonight on this particular topic in this timing at the developer's request, not because of anything the city did in terms of delaying this matter coming before the Planning Commission. If I'm here, no other...
We received several letters, and they should be introduced into the record.
Thank you. There were public comments that will be, that were submitted. I am not going to read them. Some of them are fairly lengthy. They were printed and presented this evening to the planning commissioners in keeping with the our normal processes and so forth. And so those are incorporated by reference and so forth.
Well, I can't hold back. I'd like to state a couple other comments. Number one, Commissioner Terrazana, I do believe it's a well-designed project. I think it looks great. I think it's great for our city. However, I don't really like some of the actions that's been taken leading up to the project. And there is a lot of anger, a lot of angst amongst a lot of people on both sides about this. And similar to the comments that were made, I think we've got to go past that to move forward. And hopefully we can do that. This amendment is an example of that. You don't usually put an amendment down after something's already done. You need approval to do that something. They did not have that approval. Candidly, we're looking the other way. We're creating an amendment for them rather than enforcing that maybe some other city would. Tear the darn thing down. You're on public property. You had no right to change that. So to say that the city is acting in a bad way, they're not. They're protecting your interest for your sidewalk and trying to make it as best as possible. As a fellow businessman, I'm trying to protect a business that's going to do a lot for our city and for employees and for our tax base. But you need to follow the rules, and I lectured them in that same way in our special land use meeting. So therefore, as we're editorializing here and sharing some of our own comments, it is my hope that the city council and the Andes team come together and work together so we're not reading attorney letters. We're moving ahead with some changes moving forward.
Amen.
And as I concurred with you at the special land use meeting, I concur again this evening. Hopefully, people can quickly have some conversations and come up with some common ground to bring an acceptable resolution to the city council that can be memorialized in a license agreement for the use of this property. So we have a motion by Commissioner White and a second by Commissioner Reed to approve the 129 West Ludington Avenue special land use request for the amendment to the previous special land use for the placement of the overhang. I would ask at this time, and it was noted in terms of an acceptance in the motion to clarify, Commissioner White, that the address is 129. And so that motion is before you, and I would ask for a roll call.
Jordan Miller,
Aye.
Patrick O'Hare,
Aye.
Melissa Reed,
Aye.
John Trezano,
Aye.
Jeff White,
Aye.
Motion carries. So we will move on to our old business, which is the 6-month UDO review and the proposed changes. This is being presented this evening as an update. There will be no action taken on approving it.
What was in your packet was two things, which made the packet extraordinarily large. One was a document that has the red line changes that the text and zoning committee has come up with. And then you had a full copy of the UDO with those changes incorporated. I'm not going to go through every change that we made. I'll hit some of the highlights. We removed the language regarding the minimum roof pitch. We used to have that, and that was really a tool regarding mobile homes, but now we don't have that. So flat roofs are now allowed in the city. Making the language regarding attached garages that shared a common wall with the home to be considered part of the principal structure and not an accessory structure.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
On that one really quickly? I don't know if y'all are here for the whole earlier question or if you're here for the UDO update, but I want to underscore that one a little bit. I also sit on the Zoning Board of Appeals, which typically meets once every 3 or 4 years for some really extraordinary thing. And since we have adopted the UDO, we have had 3 appeals, excuse me, specifically relating to accessory structures because they had an attached garage and wanted to build a shed or a pergola or some such thing, and their attached garage, i.e. attached by at least one wall to their home, put them over the limit. And I want to underscore the responsiveness of us adjusting that in the UDO. So now if you have an attached garage, it's not considered an accessory structure if this change goes through. That's a big step forward for the freedom to use your property the way you want.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed.
You're welcome.
We changed the industrial setback from 30 feet to 15 feet. The waterfront inland setback, that's land in the waterfront district, which is along Pere Marquette Lake and river. The inland property from 30 feet to 10 feet. and also allowing language that would allow up to 3 short-term rentals per building in the downtown core, edge, and waterfront. We added language regarding the designated innkeeper's quarters to B&Bs, which is a definition was also crafted for, and that B&Bs must have a minimum of 2 rooming units. We updated a number of graphics to match the language. Example, the clear vision triangle stated 20 feet in the language, but 15 in the graphic. And we discovered some graphics we thought we needed that we thought were needed, but will be removed, and others may be added. We added some language to the site plan review, and we made a number of what I would call technical changes, or technical, where the sites may have been wrong and things like that, and some grammar and stuff like that. The reason why we're not taking it up tonight is the Text and Zoning Committee is going to meet on Tuesday, and we have some additional changes that we want to take a look at. And then we will come back to the Planning Commission at our meeting in October so that this could go before City Council, hopefully sometime in October. I do want to mention, as Commissioner Reed said, she was part of the Text and Zoning Committee when we were doing this, as was Commissioner O'Hare and Commissioner Boggs. Since then, Commissioner Reed has moved on to the Special Land Use Site Plan Review Committee, and Text and Zoning, Jeff White has joined us, Commissioner White. And I do want to say that it was very good to have Commissioner White join us, because although he reviewed this...
But you miss me.
Huh?
But you miss me.
Do I have to put that in the record? Even though Commissioner White reviewed this as a member of the Planning Commission, when you're on the committee itself, it brought a new set of eyes to this process and a different way of looking at some of this stuff, and his comments and suggestions were well appreciated, so thank you for that. And if anybody has any other questions?
Commissioner Trezano, one of the things you didn't, it is listed on the agenda in terms of the 6-month UDO review, and since there are quite a few people, again, that are here this evening that might not be familiar with the UDO, we spent close to 3 years drafting it with the intention, stated early on, that we would do a thorough review of the document once it was in use. There's one thing to conceptually write this document and you try to think of all the different scenarios, and it's another thing to have it in practice where the city staff on a daily basis is now referencing it and so forth. And so this review and the comments that Commissioner Trezano stated as related to revisions, this was part of our intended process. I had the opportunity to attend a couple of the text committee meetings over the last 9 months, and I don't know how many meetings, again, this was another, I don't know how many meetings actually have taken place since January in this process. It wasn't like one meeting, there were a whole series of them. And so I, again, thank the text committee for their diligence on pursuing these changes and the city staff. And we always changed the prior zoning ordinance. We tweaked it and so forth. There weren't these many edits and so forth, but that document had existed for, I don't know, 80 years or whatever. And so we're still going to find things. We'll approve these set of changes. They'll go to city council, and I would not be at all surprised come January, we go, oh, here's something else where there's a cross-reference that no one caught or whatever that needs to be modified. But
If I may just add on to that. We committed to do a 6-month review because we knew we were going to catch things. As Commissioner O'Hare said, some of it you put into practice and you don't know if you're doing it right or wrong. I used to work in Washington, D.C., and they passed bills and bills and bills, and you'd be surprised at the technical amendments that always came later in the process, always much larger than most bills. But I want you to understand, this isn't the end of it. The UDO, just like the city ordinances, are living documents. They're always subject to change. And good city government always goes through, reviews it, and makes the necessary changes as we go along, right? Because times change. And so this was an intense 6-month process to do this. But we will continue on the Text and Zoning Committee to continue to make changes. And I encourage the public, if you come up with an issue in the UDO that, in terms of something that you're maybe trying to do, and you have a problem, and you think that things need to be changed, come and talk to us, because the doors are always open.
Commissioner White, anything to add since you've been?
No?
Okay. So moving to on the agenda, the committee report, special land use, site plan review. Anything else to add, Commissioner White?
No.
Okay. Tax zoning, this July 30th and August 20th meetings. Anything to add, Commissioner Trezano?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Zoning Board of Appeals met on the 30th of July and the 18th. Commissioner Reed, is there anything to report?
Yes, we did meet on July 30th, and again on August 18th. On July 30th, the ZBA was addressing the fact that a non-conforming structure could not be saved, and because it was non-conforming, you're not allowed to rebuild a non-conforming structure if you have to tear it down. We determined that that we would have lost the usage of the entire square footage created by the non-conforming structure if we didn't permit the variance. So we did permit the variance on that one. The second one was kind of interesting, and I'm only going into any detail at all because I want to underscore what you just said. This was a question of a shed being torn down, completely torn down, and after some other renovations on the property were completed, another shed was erected, a temporary shed on skids. But that shed did not meet setbacks which were established by the UDO, which was adopted January 1st. That was discovered, and so the property owner was in front of us for a variance, asking us to give him a variance to allow him to be closer than the setbacks. We weren't able to grant that variance because the rules are the rules. You have to have a permit. And I'm bringing that up while we have an audience, both in person and online, because I want to say that the UDO, if you look at the UDO, it's going to tell you what you need to do when you want to make a modification to your property. If you can't follow it, and we worked hard to make it user-friendly, if you can't follow it or you want to be sure, city staff is available, particularly our zoning administrator, Sean Reed, to answer those questions. Had this property owner done that, he might have seen a different outcome, but he didn't know he had to pull a permit because he didn't look. So that's one of the reasons I'm going into detail on that one. It was a relatively minor ZBA, but it really is not easier to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. That's all I have.
Okay. Moving on to, there's no new business this evening. Any commissioners' comments and communications? Any commissioners? I am going to make one observation. If anyone is sitting here this evening and is like, hey, I'd really like to be up there and be a planning commissioner, there are openings on the planning commission, and you too can have the privilege of attending committee meetings and participating in public forums such as this in terms of the Planning Commission and becoming very, very familiar with the zoning ordinance, which you'll come to very much appreciate and like and so forth. So anyways, in all seriousness, there are openings on Planning Commission, and if you know of anyone that would be interested in being appointed, please reach out to the mayor. Mayor Barnett, who is here this evening, accepts the appointments in terms of applications for the appointments, and then we coordinate in terms of interviewing potential candidates, and then he, as mayor, takes the appointments to the city council for approval. So any staff reports? Any DDA report or anything else? Not hearing any, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.